Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to the Animorphs universe. Back for AniLysis, and we're looking at the two suspicious gentlemen in the stables. This comes from book 14. That's this one here, if you weren't already aware. What's happened is the Animorphs have gone to zone... Is it zone 42 in this? I think it's zone 91 actually. Yeah. Zone 91, not Area 51. There are horses in that area, and the Animorphs want to get inside the base to see what's there, because apparently there's something there, it's a big mystery, and they're going to use horses to get into the base, because the horses walk around freely. So what do? They go to a racetrack. And while they're at the racetrack, they go into the horse stables and start to look for this horse morph that they're going to want to have. Unfortunately, once they get into the stables, it's a racetrack. The place is busy, there are people around, and you're going to get situations like this. Everyone was about 90% human, and Axe was about 90% Andalite, when suddenly, without warning, I found myself staring at two old men. One was chewing the end of a slobbery cigar. They were looking over the stall door. What are you kids doing in that stall? And what in the name of all that's holy is that? What they were seeing was four kids who seemed to be wearing leotards decorated with feathers, and one really unusual creature, like nothing either had ever seen before. Axe, keep your head down, I hissed. I leaped to get between the two old men and Axe's tail. So the Animorphs are basically being caught in the act here. They're almost finished demorphing inside this stable where this horse is. And of course it is a busy area. So while they didn't think that Lenny and Jerry here wouldn't come along and see this going on, Jake, sort yourself out, mate. But yeah, Lenny and Jerry, as they've now been called, apparently. Lenny is the one with the cigar here. Thank you, Adobe Firefly, for producing me this image. And this is Jerry. So Lenny and Jerry. And they're two very old men, as described, and they want to know what the Animorphs are doing here. Let's look further into this conversation. I asked you kids what you're doing in that stall, the cigar man said, more sharply this time. Grooming horses? I offered. Rachel's eyebrows shot up. Our horse? Oh yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Grooming our horse. She reached over and stroked Axe's back. Small for a horse, the second man said skeptically. What are you feeding that poor sway-back nag? Horse food, Marco said. Horse food? Yeah, horse food. Boy, you should see how many cans this guy can eat. Man, all day long I'm opening cans of horse food and filling his dish. The two men stared. The cigar man moved his cigar to the other side of his mouth. Ha ha ha! I practically screamed. He's such a kid. Of course we're not feeding our horse food from cans. We're feeding him alfalfa and hay, like you'd feed any horse. My friend is such a joker. Total joke machine. Plus, he's a moron, Rachel added. The Animorphs are doing a pretty poor job of trying to hide Axe, who's still demorphing. Although at this point, it's almost like he stopped demorphing, because if he carried on demorphing, it would be even more obvious. Because it'd be like changing shape. So he's just sort of stopped at 90% Andalite. So he's probably still got some horsey features, but largely it's just him. That his back end is sticking out at the back of the stall, and Lenny and Jerry are seeing it. But probably because they're old men, they've got cataracts, their sight isn't great, so they're sort of squinting to get a look. It's like Joe Biden. So they are curious, and Marco and Cassie and Rachel are trying to provide an explanation, but it's simply not helping because they're crap at it. And the men then start to ask even more important questions, and that is where we get one of the greatest lines of the Animorphs series. And that's what we have to thank Lenny and Jerry for. They brought about this. Your horse is blue, the second man observed. Never seen a blue horse. Never seen kids wearing feathers on their faces either, Cigar said. I've seen a lot of things in my time. Jake was looking at me, waiting for me to come up with an answer. So was Rachel. So was Marco. Our horse was blue. There was no denying that. And yes, we had white and grey feathers sticking out of the sleeves and collars of our morphing suits. We like blue horses, I said lamely. Someday, all horses will be blue, Jake agreed. Someday, all horses will be blue. Blue! All of them. What a strange line, but it's one that sticks in the mind of Animorphs fans worldwide. Someday, all horses will be blue, and there's nothing you can do about it, Lenny. Wait, were you... No, I think you were Lenny and you're Jerry. Nothing you can do about it, as blue as your shirts. It also makes you wonder, how big is Axe? Because horses are pretty big animals. Like, the back end of a horse is... I mean, you can see from this picture here, you're looking at that level to human height, nearly, probably. So we've come to the conclusion with AniLysis, sort of as a general consensus, that they're about human height, but they're also centaur body-like. So you'd probably estimate that the lower half of the body is half the height of a human. So sort of the same... Basically, an AniLysis arse is the same level as a human arse. And these two, Jenny and Larry, are seeing this arse and mistaking it for a horse when they're at a racetrack. And horses... It is just a bit weird. But let's not forget, they're basically old men who don't know things because they're old. Animorphs being ageist, I can't stand it. It's disgraceful. But anyway, after that line, someday all horses will be blue, the Animorphs have to escape, and that's where we see the last of Lenny and Jerry. You kids, step out of there. This ain't right. Not any part of this. Step out of there and let me... I felt, rather than saw, the twitch that ran through Axe's body. Axe, no! I yelled. Thwap, thwap. He struck with his deadly tail, but not at the men. In less than half a second, he had sliced the overhead railing that framed the stall. He had sliced right through it in two places. The railing, a chunk of 8x8 lumber, fell directly on the men's heads. Ah! Oh! Run! Jake cried. We stumbled and piled over the two groaning men, 4 kids and a very strange blue horse. So the Animorphs do the old, Axe's tail is able to chop through, like, a wooden beam. So, how thick is this thing? 8x8 lumber. Jesus Christ. That's loads. Or are you... Oh my God. Unless, I mean, 8 inches is... Yeah. Those are big bits of wood. How does Axe chop through that in 2 hits? That's ridiculous. Unless it's 8 by 8 millimeters. In which case, not even 90-year-old men are going to fall victim to that. Jesus hecking Christ. Lenny and Jerry have just had a freaking beam just whack on their heads. And Axe chops it flap flap, so in 2 positions. So it's either in the same position, in which case the railing probably went sort of like a windscreen wiper, bang, like that, you know, bang. Or he chops it in 1 place, 2 place, and it falls straight down. I don't know which is worse. Because on one hand, how is Axe's tail in 1 hit going to go through 8x8 lumber, assuming that's the measurement they're using? That's 8x8 inch, sort of, yeah. That's thick, and that's wood. That's a structural support. Bloody hell. And you two poor sods. It says you're groaning afterwards, but those are probably death throes. So they bring about such a classic line. Sorry. Stop it. They bring about such a classic line. Someday all horses and moons will be blue. And then the Animorphs basically kill them. You could say, oh, it's fiction, it's sci-fi, it's not meant to be taken as real. But in Animorphs, you know, the laws of physics, usually, still apply, and the laws of... if something hits you very hard on the head, you tend to be very sad about it. You know, the Animorphs takes that seriously. Lenny and Jerry, I'm sorry, lads. I'm sorry that this has had to happen to you. But in all seriousness, they're groaning, and the book seems to use that as an implication that they weren't killed. But by golly, they probably had to go to hospital. And that's even being lenient to the book. 8 by 8? Landing on your head? And you're that old? Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're at least calling the ambulance. You're looking at them saying, right, we're going to bring one out just in case. Although you are at a racetrack and there's usually ambulance there anyway. So it's all right. It's all right. Lenny and Jerry, I hope you have good healthcare plans. Anyway, that's the two suspicious men in the stable. I think, yeah, they play a very, very minor role. Almost to the point where it wouldn't count as an AniLysis because they weren't even named. I've just given them the names, of course. I mean, you've watched the video. But they their interaction with the Animorphs brought about such a classic line that they had to have an AniLysis video. So thank you, chaps. Thank you very much. What's going to be the next AniLysis? What's it gonna be? As we spin the wheel, we've now added Book 20's potential AniLysis candidates on there. So we've got everything from Book 1 to the Discovery. And it's quite a wheel at the moment, so let's go. Let's find out what is the next AniLysis. Is it going to be another really small one, or are we going to get a really massive one? What's it going to be? Rupert J. Kirk State Mental Health Facility. So that would be from Book 17, where George Edelman was. So that is the next AniLysis, and it'll probably be a 20-minute one, probably. I'm getting to the stage now I can sort of guess how long a video is going to be. So yeah, that's unless I fill it out with Lila or rambling inanely, as I tend to do. I do a lot of that, don't I? But anyway, less of it. Stop. Let's just end the video, Adam. End the video now. Right, thank you very much for watching. And this reminds me of a story, actually, of... no, I'm bullshitting you. Thank you very much for watching. See you somewhere else in the Animorphs universe. Ta-ra.